Well, hello everyone. It is Wednesday, and if it's Wednesday and I'm here and you're here, you must have stumbled into engagement. So, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to engagement. You've probably heard me say this before. My name's Doug. I'm also known as Doug the Efficient, also known as Doug the Foodie. And I started a video podcast. And people say, well, Doug, your podcast is called Engagement. Is it because it's for people that are getting married only and they can come there and get resources? Well, no, not really. We do a little bit about weddings, but mostly we talk to people that really engage me, that I want to be engaged with. And the word engagement in the dictionary means to meet, to come together. And so I'm really thrilled when I can have someone on that I really love talking to. And I've had a lot of people on, and I've loved talking to every one of them. And every once in a while, there's someone that comes along from my past or from the right wing or from the left field or from the universe that I just really want to talk to. And that's tonight. I have someone, just one person on tonight that I want to talk to, someone who I revere. I think she's an incredible person. And we have a lot of mutual love. And I'll say that. And so I'm ecstatic to invite in tonight's only guest, who we're going to talk about all kinds of things. Because here at Engagement, as I've said before, can be like boomerang. You can get whiplash because one day we're talking about phenomenal females, the next we're talking about short ribs or whatever. So we talk about virtually whatever tickles my fancy, and I'm very fortunate to have that fancy. So tonight we're bringing in here Phyllis, and Phyllis is a phenomenal lady. She's one of the cooking ladies, and we're going to have a little talk, just two friends talking about food, talking about friends. And Phyllis, my dear, how are you?
I'm great. Thank you, Doug. Thank you for this.
I'm so glad we got together. This is awesome. I mean, technical, issues aside, and
we got there.
Yeah. We got there. We're here. How you doing, girl?
I'm good. I was just going to say, do you think my wine glass is big enough?
I think yours is bigger than mine.
I could put the whole bottle in that glass.
You could. Well, that way you can say I'm only having one glass tonight.
Well, cheers. Right?
So cheers. Salute. So there you are in Stratford. You did reside down here. Mm-hmm. I would see you every once in a while at a party, mutual friends and whatnot. And you'd find you and me and Lamont over in the corner drinking wine, talking about food and have you tried this wine and where are you going? What are you doing? And all that kind of great stuff. So I'm thrilled to have you on. For those that don't know, you produced this cookbook. This is one of many. This is, you're on the road with the cooking ladies. And you are a cookbook author. You are a smoking aficionado. And we're not talking like, we're talking like Traeger grills. You are a force to be reckoned with in the culinary world. So let's talk about the cooking ladies. Now, before we do that, I would be remiss if I didn't mention it's plural. It's cooking ladies, not cooking lady, not cooking chick. It's cooking ladies. You had a sidekick, a partner, a friend, a co-maestro.
Yeah.
And
my soul sister. Yes.
Soul sister. Yes. Yeah. Everyone should have a soul sister. And her name was Lamont. This is Lamont. Isn't she gorgeous? And Lamont, unfortunately, her and I were talking about doing this show a year ago. And we were back and forth, and I asked her to be on because I really like to favor the females in all aspects, but especially in the food aspect. And she's like, "Yep, let's do the show. Just give me a few weeks. I've got something going on," and it didn't happen, unfortunately.
Yeah. It wasn't good what was going on. Yeah.
No. Yeah. She didn't know, we didn't know, but this is very much in her memory. So tell me how you met and how you became the Cooking Ladies.
Well, I wanted to always be a writer, and I was involved with a guy, and we were in Florida, and I was training racehorses, doing all this, and it didn't work out. And not because not was this is a long story. Anyway, I decided that it was time I went back to university. So I left there and came back to Canada, and I decided I wanted to get a degree in creative writing. And the only school that was doing the degrees in creative writing then was the University of British Columbia. So I packed up my car. It was a 68 Cutlass. I packed it up, I tied stuff to the roof, and I drove across the country. And I enrolled in the University of British Columbia, and I got my degree. And while I was there, there was a poetry class. And in the poetry class, Lamont just happened to be in it. She was a high school English teacher, and she was taking the poetry class in order to teach it. So anyway, I thought, well, she looks pretty like a lot of fun, and which of course she was. And so I struck up a conversation, and so she said, as the year went on and everything, she said, look, I think I'd like to retire from teaching because all my students that I started with 6 years ago or 5 years ago are retiring, or not, they're graduating, and I don't want to be here when they go. Have you ever been to Europe? I said, no. And she said, want to go? So we did. We went to Europe for 9 months.
Nice.
Yeah. We bought a Volkswagen van in England, and we drove everywhere, and it was just wonderful. And of course, we spent all our money. We were broke when we got back, and it's like so she had retired from teaching, and I had my degree, but I wasn't doing anything. So we said, well, what should we do? And we said, I don't know. So anyway, we got running a kitchen in a hotel in Dublin, Ontario, and we worked it for 9 months. That was before we went to Europe, and we made some money, and we thought, well, that was pretty good. Let's get into the restaurant business. So we did. And we got into the restaurant business, and we worked and worked and worked and worked. For all the time we had off, we didn't have any now. And so we did all this working. And then we had along the line, one of her students came to work with us, and we made her a partner. And it was wonderful. The three of us were so compatible, and it was just great. But Susan had asthma. And one Christmas, when we were catering a party, Susan died of an asthma attack.
Oh, no.
And we looked at each other and we said, what are we doing? We were working 7 days a week, and look what happens. I mean, look what happens. And so we just didn't, cut back. We sold everything. We sold our houses, our businesses, all our stuff. And we bought a 40-foot motorhome and turned the key and said, which road do you want to drive down?
Mm-hmm.
So that's a long story about how we met, but that's, it's.
There's something, endearing about, you hear people say, well, I'm going to backpack through Europe after I graduate, or I'm going to go and explore the world. And we both know that when you explore the world, you also explore yourself. You open your mind, you learn a lot more, you are more receptive, probably more loving and more giving and more understanding than those that are not. I mean, that's a generalization. Don't send me emails. But yeah, I mean, you guys have traveled a lot. I think this one here is probably a little more recent, maybe not the VW and not the original van or trailer, but this one here.
Yeah, that's the last one.
That's the
most recent one, yeah.
And that's you. I can see you strapping your stuff to the top of your car and heading off. You have always been the kind of like vicarious, let's go and let's enjoy, let's learn, let's do it. You're always up for it. So speaking of, you on wheels, this one here is probably at the peak of the Cooking Ladies. And I mean, when you have your face on a large RV, you know you've made it. So, right?
Then you're rock stars, right? Wasn't that something? That's the 40-footer.
That's
Yeah.
incredible. So if you look at that, I mean, I'll show it again. You've got Home Hardware.
Yeah.
That's Betty Crocker, if ever I've seen a spoon in my life. And
Yeah.
Lotus as your sponsors. That is phenomenal.
Yeah.
I want to know who drove. Who drove?
We both did. We used to fight over it, driving that. It was just so fun to drive. I mean, they're afraid of it, right? People don't, they think, oh, it's so big. Well, it only goes where you look, it's just like, if you look in the ditch, you probably drive it there. So, it was really, really a high. We lived in that, when we sold everything, we lived in that 40-footer for 9 years.
Oh, good Lord.
Yeah, we went to every state in the United States and every province and territory in Canada in that moment. Yeah.
Anyone that knows you probably have an opinion. People make opinions far too fast, far too rash. I'm guilty of it myself. As I say, I sometimes judge on accident. But people might look at the two of you and think back in the day, good Lord, it's like Thelma and Louise.
It is like or Laverne and Shirley.
Laverne and Shirley. Shamil, Shamazel.
Well, you always need a sidekick to kind of egg you on. Like doing that stuff by yourself, you might not think of all those things. But when two people are thinking the same, you can get in all sorts of trouble. It's wonderful.
This is very true. This is very true. It's very, very true. So you guys have traveled a lot. So this is you guys at, actually, I should say y'all because it's my favorite word. That's a brothel.
Yeah. Well, yes. And we actually went in there. I mean,
why wouldn't you?
Well, next time you go to Vegas, I know you go, right?
I do.
Next time you go to Vegas, you should go to Pahrump. You can go there too. They serve lunch.
I love lunch.
Yeah. The girls come out and dance, and it's great. No, because it's perfectly legal and everything in Pahrump. Not in Vegas, I don't, unless they've changed it. But we had a friend who lived in Pahrump, and he said, "You want to go to the brothel for lunch?" And we said, "Absolutely." We did.
Yeah, why wouldn't you?
Because we said absolutely to everything.
Yeah. So, I mean, you guys have had a lot of fun. It's good to have a cohort, a buddy, that angel devil on your shoulder that says, yeah, go ahead, do it.
Yeah. Well, so, I mean, but that's how we got into the restaurant business, because we were trying to figure out how we could make some money, because before we went to Europe, and this hotel needed someone to cook, and we went to see the owner, and he said to us, "Can you cook?" And we said, "Sure." Well, we couldn't. We didn't know how to turn on the deep fryer, but we had no idea.
So that is a really we parallel a lot. I don't usually you're the guest. I'm not the guest here to talk about myself, but there's some philosophy behind that I really invest in. I used to work for a husband and wife company here in town, and the owner, her name was Pat Alton. And no matter what if you called in and said, "I want this," she'd say, "I can do that." Even if she hadn't done it, this is before Google, she'd find out how to do it. This is before the internet, probably. But it's that whole, I would always say I went to the University of Pat, because you learn, I can do that. I'll figure it out. I'm resourceful. So you two were always resourceful in figuring out things, and had a incredible chemistry, the two of you, and that's we're really fortunate. So the cookbooks, you guys have not just one cookbook out there, you have more than one. Tell us about that.
Well, that was another thing. When we were on the road, you just kind of wonder, well, we should really do something. Right? We had sold everything we owned, and we thought, we should really do something. So we thought, maybe we should write a cookbook. It's like, can you cook? Right? And so we wrote this cookbook, but we did it with travel stories, because we were on the road. So every recipe had a travel story, and every recipe went with the story. that where we got the idea. And so then we somehow we got somebody who contacted us, said, I'll show you how to self-publish it. So we did. And but then we went to home hardware stores and we said, would you like us to customize this? You know, it's just like, this is what we did.
Right.
And so, yeah. And so we went there and we took lemon pie and stuff. We sat at this table and with the people that really could make the decisions. And so we said, you know, would you like us to customize this? And they said, sure. And so we're kind of like hanging on to our chairs at this point because it wasn't what we expected, you know, and the lemon pie was good, but, you know, and so anyway, we said, okay, how many do you want? And they said, let's see, we have 1,000 stores. And we said, a dozen each, that's 12,000. Well, we just hung on to our chairs. a bestseller was like 5,000 books, right? And so, yeah, so we did.
Knowing the two of you, there was no like reaction. We were like, yep, we can do that.
That's right. Yeah, we could do that. Sure, yep. We could do that.
Pretend like you own it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So you guys have traveled a lot and you've learned a lot. So I have this great shot of you that you sent me. This one here.
Yeah, Grand Canyon. Yeah.
Grand Canyon. Did you get a recipe from Grand Canyon or from the Nevada area?
Probably, yes. I can't remember what it is, but yes. I mean, usually wherever we went, we tried to. We would walk up to the locals and say, what do you eat here? What's famous here? And we'd go try it, and then we'd recreate it, and yeah. No, so
that's my favorite travel hack. If you're traveling, I mean, I'll talk to anyone. People know that. I'll go up to the locals and say, where do you eat and what do you eat? And they'll tell you. And you go there and you're just gobsmacked at how great it is. Yeah. So,
yeah. No.
And then this one here, where's this one?
That's in Hawaii. Do you see their hands? That's the Hawaii aloha. Yeah. Simple. Yeah. I think we're eating shrimp. Yeah. Nice. It says, suck, peel, and eat, or whatever.
It does.
Yeah.
Words to live by.
I know.
And where is this one here?
That's standing on the corner in Winslow, Arizona. Yes. See? And that's and that was by accident. We what happened was we were driving down the highway and we needed gas, and we saw this sign and to Winslow, and we drove in, and of course Lamont was really good with music, and of course she said, oh, Winslow, Arizona. So we drove around the block, and there was a red truck parked on this where we were big, we needed room, and we said, if they just move that truck, we could park here. Well, it never moves. It's the truck from standing on the corner. It's the red pickup that they sing about, the Eagles, right? So anyway, well, we didn't realize that at the time, but so it was kind of neat because we didn't intend to go to Winslow, but we got
red truck. You can see it in.
Yeah, it's in the reflection. Yes, yeah, and it was in our way, that truck.
Because you want to park your bus. And then this.
Oh yeah, the Arctic Circle. Yeah, we went up the Dempster Highway. My goodness, if anybody gets a chance to do the Dempster Highway, it's the most wonderful, wonderful experience. We didn't take our 40-foot motorhome because we'd still be there. Because the holes were the size of bathtubs.
Oh.
And it had rained for 12 days, and the road is all shale, and they were grading it all the time. And so we rented one for Fraserway RV Rentals in Whitehorse. And so we took it up, and it took us like a long time because we drove about 25 miles an hour all the way up the Dempster. But you cross the Arctic Circle, and this is on the Canadian side. You can cross the Arctic Circle, and then you go to Inuvik, and then we actually caught a little plane and went to Tuktoyaktuk or Tuktoyaktuk, and now there's a road, so we could have driven.
Oh wow!
But it's so you feel like you're an adventurer. I mean, you feel so Canadian doing that because. And it was the only time in my whole life I have ever experienced silence. because there aren't trees. And so there's the trees make the wind, right? The trees make the sound, the wind blows through the leaves or whatever. But there isn't anything. So it's complete silence. And it was, I mean, it was incredible. It was incredible. It was like we were the explorers that nobody else had ever been there. But you wouldn't see anybody on the road either. I mean, you know, you go down the road and not see anyone for half an hour. And then a trucker or somebody would come down towards you and they'd stop. And they'd say, oh, there's some grizzly bears up ahead. And how's the weather where you came from? And you can talk for half an hour because there's nobody else. But when we got to Eagle Plains, it's about halfway up the Dempster. You know, it was the only place you can get gas. And we pulled in and they said, we've been expecting you.
Of course.
Yeah. That was good.
Nice. And I believe this is you in Newfoundland.
It is, yeah. It's at there's a lighthouse there and they do lighthouse picnics.
Nice.
And it's in Fairyland, Newfoundland. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
You've had a ton of adventures. The two of you especially have gotten all over the place. And there's always a laugh, a giggle, or some sort of shenanigans going on. Tell the people what's going on here.
Oh, okay. Well, I mean, we just see an opportunity. And because Stratford used to be famous for train repairs, right? They had the shops, the train shops, the CNR. And so there's a group in Stratford called Off the Wall, and they created this train, and it's at the museum in Stratford. And so we were going to take some photos for when our Stratford books came out. And so we went there and the train was there. So we thought, well, wouldn't it be funny if we ran in front of it? But the train isn't moving, of course. I mean, it's just the front part of it. But yeah, that's what that is. It's at the museum in Stratford, the same place as Justin Bieber is.
Oh, yes.
Yes.
Yes. And one of my favorite photos of the two of you has to be this.
Yeah, at City Hall in Stratford.
City Hall.
Yeah.
The beam of light that comes from both your faces is magical. Magical. You guys have cooked some incredible food, and you guys did a lot of smoking. I know that at one point when you were down our way, I think you had no less than 3 smokers or 3, between grills and Broil Kings and Traegers. You had an envious setup, is what I'm going to say. Envious.
We had 13 barbecues and smokers when we were there.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's a lot. I mean, I have a smoker, I have a green egg, I have a grill. You eclipse me when it comes to that, so that's phenomenal. This, I take a lot of food photos, if you don't know, but this is delicious. Yes,
that was I got a brand. That's my brand new smoker when I moved to Stratford. After I was here a while, I got to live someplace where I could actually have a smoker, and so it's wonderful because it's such an easy way it's slow and just easy. It's just like an oven, and you just let it cook away, and it's wonderful. I love it.
Smoking is an event.
Yeah.
Down in my neck of the woods, we all go to. Well, I go to Shingles. I bought my Traeger from them. I buy my chips from them. I buy my meat from them. And smoking is an event. You pour a little glass of something, you put it on, you check it. And if the saying they say in the South, if you're looking, you ain't cooking, right? Yeah. So you let it smoke away and away it goes.
That's true.
But this is umptuous.
Yeah, I think that was actually on the grill. That's a cedar plank salmon.
Gorgeous.
Yeah.
Moist, that's delicious looking. And then these rings.
Yeah, well, that was Lamont's idea, but I've seen them since. But what we did was we took onion rings and then we wrapped bacon around them, and then we brushed them with like maple syrup and stuff. It's like really good.
Yeah, I mean, you had me at bacon, so yeah. So you know, the cookbooks have been phenomenal. How many have you done? Do you know? Do you have your number?
Well, once we did that one for Home Hardware, then we went back and we said, "Do you want us to write a series?" Because I mean, that's pretty nice.
Why
And they said,
not? Right?
"Yeah." Yeah. So we did. So then we wrote a series of little ones. We wrote 6 little ones, like they were cookers and no cook and salads and hors d'oeuvres. And so they all had different titles.
Nice.
So we wrote 6 of those. So I think we wrote 9. I think.
That's phenomenal. I mean, whether it's a big one or a small one, they still take a lot of work, because I know you research, you try, you test all the recipes, because I mean, your name's on it, right?
Yeah, I know. And there's and always, you have so many you have to do, and always that last one doesn't work. I mean, the one book, it was like we needed one more recipe and it didn't work, and we tried another one and it didn't work. And finally, I just went to the garden and I got some cherry tomatoes and some basil and some bocconcini and a toothpick and drizzled it with with some vinegar of some sort and salt and pepper, and it was wonderful. Yeah. But it was just so simple. And at the end, it was just we just put it. There's always that one. But this last cookbook is it's a beautiful one, because it's the smoking and barbecuing.
It is. It is. I'm very. It's one of my coveted favorites in my collection. Now, cookbooks are one thing, but you've also produced some work for Stratford.
Yeah, we did. It's when we came to Stratford. I have relatives here, and we would go around and look at things, and when we would see something, we'd say, "Gee, we didn't know that. I was actually born in Stratford, but then I moved away, and so we didn't know about these things." And I said to my relatives, "Do you know this?" And they said, "No." Mm-hmm. And so Lamont said, "Well, we should write a book." I said, "I guess." So we wrote The Secrets and Surprises was the one we wanted to write, because there's all kinds of things that are really neat that nobody knew about. So we were going to do that. And the publisher said, "I think you should write a series." And we said, "Okay." Yeah. So we wrote The Secrets and Surprises, and then we did a theater and arts one, because it's a theater and arts town.
It is.
And then they were published in 2020. The book launch was for April the 6th of 2020. We had a sold out book launch with a waiting list, and a week or two before the pandemic hit.
Wow.
Well, we didn't have a book launch. We had $4,000 worth of books in boxes that we could use as end tables. Because we had to cancel it. So through the pandemic, Lamont actually researched the 3rd book in the series. And I told her that I would finish it. And it was the hardest thing. It was the hardest thing for me to do. I kept missing deadlines, and finally I got it finished, and it's at the publisher. So it'll come out in the spring. It was but the thing is, it's her book, because she did all that work. Mm-hmm. All I did was finish it. Yeah,
you brought it to the finish line for her, which is the very noble thing to do. So, so one of your cookbooks, I missed this picture here. I want to show you the two of you. I know exactly where you were. I know exactly the location of this photo. You got your grill and your smoker, and you guys are
at the lake. Yeah,
at the lake. You've also been very fortunate to be around a lot of celebrities. One of my favorite celebrities is this guy.
Oh yeah,
Bob is incredible. Yeah. I actually emailed him once. It was to info@BobBloomer, and he responded. Yeah, I'm like, "Is this really Bob, or is this like someone else?" He's like, "No."
Oh, he's a good guy that way. Yeah, he does.
Yeah. And then here,
Diva Q.
Yeah, Diva Q.
Adam. Yeah.
And I don't think I have the other one. There's one more I know of you and Debbie Travis, for those who watch a lot of design television. So you just sort of bump into them, or just do you stalk them? Or
no, we kind of bump into them. Well, the Bob Bloomer one, we were at an event in Toronto, and he was there. And Diva Q was in Chatham, so we went to see her. The Debbie Travis one was interesting because she wanted to do she wanted to shoot a pilot because she produces TV. She and her husband, and she wanted to shoot a pilot. So she asked us if we would come to Montreal, to their place in Montreal. So that's where that picture was taken. And it never went anywhere, but they pitched it. But it was fun because we got to meet her and her husband and the staff, and it's good.
Yeah, I mean, that's a phenomenal opportunity for you guys to, to meet her and to get to know her and have the potential of, doing a show with her. So that's pretty darn incredible. So I'm a little envious of you there. So in the way of questions, and you know that I didn't send you any questions in advance. Having a sip right now is really good.
I have the big wine glass because I just
the big glass.
Where this is going.
You know me well. Two things. I know that right now you do more smoking than you do cooking. That's really where your passion lies. I've asked this question before of other guests, and I want to dust it off and ask you again because I'm dying to know. If you could have anyone for dinner, dead or alive, who would it be and what would you serve?
Well, I'd probably have Lamont. I mean, that would be my first choice. And I'd let her cook.
Who was a better cook, you or her?
Well, she was more organized with everything. With everything. Yeah, she was focused. She was like, it was, she would put her mind to something and get it done. I'm like the kid that as I was going to school, if I was walking to school and I saw a rabbit, I'd follow it across the fields and I'd never get to school on time. So but no, she was just more focused and getting the job done.
That's cool.
Yeah.
That's cool. So what would you hope that she'd make for you then?
Well, if it was anything on the smoker, I would do it. But I don't know. I mean, she used to cook in our restaurants. I was the out front person, and she was the person in the kitchen. So just anything. I mean, she made wonderful soups and just everything. She was really good at it. But she was a high school English teacher. I don't know. But anyway, she would. We could have like a table of 10, and she would get all those meals out for the 10 people all at once. And one day I said, I'm sick of the dining room. I'm going to switch. I want in the kitchen where I don't have to look at all these people and talk to these people all the time. And so she switched with me, and I lasted about half an hour because I couldn't do it. I couldn't get the meals they would go out and one at a time. And, it was awful. So I was glad to get out of the kitchen. Yeah. She's organized, very organized.
Very organized, very focused. And, so
very brave. Yeah.
So much fun. You both always a blast. Always, like I said, I mean, if anyone saw us at a party, which they did quite often, the three of us were huddled in the laundry room or in the corner talking about food. What are you cooking? What are you trying? What cookbook are you reading?
You have some pretty wonderful friends and family where you live. Yeah. They're fun. I mean, it was a good time. It was a really good time.
Well, and I believe in life. It should be a good time.
Yeah.
I mean, this is me pre-pandemic, before we, were hunkered down and dealing with, a pandemic. Before that, I was the same person as let's really truly carpe diem. Let's seize the day. Let's enjoy it. And if that means pouring a very large glass of wine, or two of them, or three of them, or whatever the case may be, exactly, or having the best steak possible, or enjoying something as decadent as a risotto with shrimp on it, or recently I've been doing, because I'm a Southern boy at heart, shrimp and grits or any of that kind of stuff, right?
You're such a good cook.
I love to
I
cook.
would invite you to dinner. You could cook too.
Can I come when Lamont comes?
Yes, that
That
would
would
be
be
good.
that would
Yeah,
be a dream come true. That would be a dream come true.
you could both
We've
cook.
we've broke bread together, but we've probably broke more booze together. So yeah, excellent, excellent. So my friend, as you move forward in your current uh, state of you know unlamont, as I'll call it, I know there's still great things for you in the future. There's you have phenomenal savvy and great charisma, and you're a very intelligent person, and you have what we call chutzpah. Anyone that would pack up their entire place and put it on top of a car and drive across the country has got some chutzpah. So I don't doubt that whatever you do will be phenomenal, and just keep us in mind so we can always be on top of what you're doing, because you're good stuff.
Thank you, Doug. I love you. Thank you.
Love you too. Love you too. So as I close out, don't go anywhere, Phyllis. Um, I thank you for coming in and watching two friends have a chit chat about a friend and about food, and um, whether you get your recipes from a book or TikTok. Do you do TikTok?
No, I don't.
I've posted 2 TikTok food things under the name of Doug the Foodie, um, because I like food and I do a lot of photos of food, and why not, right? But when we do it, we always remember our good friend Lamont, and we want to remember her tonight. So thank you for coming.
Thank you very much.